Kyriakopoulou from OMFIF and Viraj Patel from ING. Viraj, what do you think of that? I mean, pretty juicy yield in Italy. I think a lot of investors were already waiting in for that return. Should investors feel safer now?
Well, we expect the headline noise to continue at least up until September, October. So I don't think we're quite out of the woods yet when it comes to the Italian budget story. And that just, we expect the volatility to be expressed at least in the Italian bond market. But when it comes to spilling back into the euro, I think it's more of a sentiment story, just keeping a lid on the euro. And I think euro dollar right now is a story of political uncertainty from both the Europe and US. So that seems to be the story. That's really difficult to have a convincing direction. And I think at least for investors looking in the FX space, I think euro dollar is pretty flat when you've got dual political uncertainty.
Does it, Danae, does it matter so much what happens in Rome, or is it more important for investors to look at Brussels and Berlin?
Well, Brussels and Berlin are certainly more important, but I think Italy has been a key risk for the euro area and will continue to be. I think what happens in Rome is also important because Italy has dominated so much the fears around the euro. I think I would add to what was said, the central bank policy and monetary policy divergence in the US and Europe and what we see there. That is another factor to watch in terms of the euro dollar and also the general path for the euro area. We have seen some areas of crisis subside, specifically Greece that exited the bailout this August, but there are still risks. I think in Italy, yes, there is some more credibility in terms of economic policy, but you still have very weak fundamentals in terms of NPLs, in terms of the general reform of the euro area and how that affects the Italian banking sector, what we saw last year. So I wouldn't say we're out of the woods yet with Italy. I would agree with that.
We do see NPLs. In the rest of Europe, they seem to be recovering fairly well. The Italians would probably claim that they're in the same boat there. But the banking sector is still a big problem, isn't it, Danae?
Yes, absolutely. And I think this is about the general reforms that we're seeing at the euro area level in terms of completing the banking union, strengthening the architecture of the monetary union. We have seen some proposals by Macron and Merkel, but they are also facing domestic constraints in terms of their political capital and how far they can go with these reforms. There is still very big differences in the euro area in terms of how to proceed. And of course, coming up, we have a lot of changes in key positions in Europe, in the euro area, in terms of who will be the next president of the Commission, who will be the next president of the European Central Bank, the ESM, what role will it have. So all of these internal politics, which country gets what, who gets their way, how far do we go with the reforms in terms of having a euro area finance minister, in terms of having a common budget, what will the new architecture be? There is a lot of politics going on there, and I think these will have an important impact on the banking sector as well, the capital markets in Europe.